my name is Sean Wilkinson, and I'm one of the founders of Storage. And I wanted to make an informal video to kind of help explain how file uploads work in the network and the current architecture. This is really just to help community members that are just curious, or people who are building applications on top of the storage and the network, and kind of want to understand how things work. So let's go ahead and get started. So first we have a file that we want to upload to the network. So let's say it's a cat picture that we want to upload. So I'll do my best to draw out a little cat for us here. I'm not that great at drawing cats, but I'll do my best. So this is just a plain text file that's on your hard drive, not encrypted, and we want to upload this to the network. So the first operation that we do on the file, the second step, is we add some padding to the file. So I'll quickly draw our cat again. So we do padding because we want to make sure the file is private and secure as it goes on this network. So if I'm looking for a particular type of file or data and I know around the file size or the estimated file size of that, then I can go search through the network for that. But if we pad these files out to the nearest byte multiple, and think of byte multiple as this doubling, so 1 megabyte, 2 megabytes, 4 megabytes, 8 megabytes, 16 megabytes. If we pad these files out to the nearest byte multiple, they're more uniform, they're more the same. So it's hard for an attacker to pick out an individual file if all of them are pretty much the same size. So this is just a security element that we add. So what we do, let's say the file is 6 megabytes, we pad it out to the next byte multiple, 8 megabytes, so we just add 2 megabytes of zeros to this file, and that helps us secure the file. So we add padding to this file. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to get a unique identifier for this file to upload it to the network. So the way we do this is we use the Storage Bridge API. This is an API that we've put out there to help people navigate the network. So there's hundreds of farmers out there right now, and in the future there'll be thousands. Like, how do you know which ones are good and which ones are bad and provide great performance, or in this location or another? So what we do is we provide a service to really just like abstract that whole selection process and just be like, hey, I want to upload a file. These are my parameters on how I want to do it. It's backup. Don't really care about the speed, or all the people that I'm trying to get this to are in New York. So like, get me nodes around that. So it takes care of that whole process for you. And so we need a unique identifier to essentially be able to talk with the bridge about this file. So we query the API saying, hey, give me an identifier that I can reference this file that I'm uploading. It's not done yet, but I need something to reference it. So it says, hey, uses ABC123 as your identifier for this file as we communicate and try to figure out how to get it to the network. So query bridge API for, we call this a frame ID. And the fourth thing that we do here is we encrypt this file. So we have our unique ID to communicate with the bridge API. Now we want to take this file and we want to encrypt it. So we take our file, press the padding, and this just goes into an encrypted file. So this is encrypted on your computer locally. Only you are the one who has access to that data. Not us, not any of the other farmers on the network, people who are actually storing the data. These farmers, they don't have access to it. We don't have access to it. Only you, the person storing the data, has access to it. So the fifth step we take here is we break this up into multiple pieces. So we take this data. There's many different fun, complicated mathematical algorithms that we use to do this, but let's just make it simple. Let's say we break it into 3 pieces. So you have 3 encrypted pieces of that cat picture. Now comes the fun part. This is where we actually upload that data to the network. So we have our pieces of the data. They're all encrypted. And what we're going to do is we're going to query storage bridge API for each one of these files. And what it's going to do is it's going to go through its Rolodex and go through like its list of farmers and say, based on these parameters you provide me, this is the best guy to store that shard, and it has a long history to be able to back that up. So it's going to go to that farmer, contact them, it's going to work out all the fine details in terms of price and availability and all those kind of things, and this is just going to say, here, we've negotiated everything for you, here, contact this guy and upload the file. So we have our farmers, this is 1, this is 2, and farmer 3. So we communicated our parameters to storage, it negotiates back and forth with the farmer to make sure it's the right guy for the task, and we do this for each one of these files. And then, when that's all said and done, and it tells you these are the farmers that you should use, then you can upload that data directly to those farmers. So notice the data does not get transmitted through storage and through the bridge API. That just helps you abstract away all the selection process. Now you could run that yourself, but again, complicated process. And the more contracts and negotiations it goes through, the better it gets. And so, doing that for lots of farmers, we have a good idea of what's the best farmer to use and what's not so good versus running yourself. You could do something, but you wouldn't achieve the same performance because you wouldn't have the history to back it up. So again, our job is to abstract all the complicated network details and make that easy for you. So you transmit that data directly to the farmer, and now that data is in the network. Now there's 2 little cleanup steps that we need to do before we're considered done. So the 7th step is we want to tell storage, okay, this is all the data that we've uploaded. There was only 3 pieces, so I need you to take return to me essentially an object ID. So we can reference this, and it's going to know that I'm referencing these 3 pieces of data on these 3 separate farmers. So when we request that object ID, we get back all the information we need to retrieve that file from the network. So I just say storage, hey, I'm done, and it's going to package up essentially a mapping of, let's call this D, E, F. And this is going to be 4, 5, 6. And that's going to be just a mapping of these different farmers, farmer 1, farmer 2, farmer 3. And again, this is just a pointer to these 3 locations, and that's something that we can reference later on. So we tell it, okay, we're done uploading, give us a unique identifier to be able to reference, these completed shards, these completely uploaded things. And so we're going to get back this D, E, F, 4, 5, 6. And what we're going to do in our side locally is we're going to say, okay, DEF 4, 5, 6 is mapped to this key. that we use to encrypt the data with. So only the user has essentially this unique identifier for the file mapped to the key that was used to encrypt it. So while storage might know, where these different locations are, it doesn't know how to decrypt each of those locations. You're the only one that has the mapping from the pointers to the file to the actual key that decrypts, that's able to decrypt the file. So if you wanted to share this file with another device or another user, then you could share this mapping here, right? So we'll get into that in future videos on how we maintain these files on the network, how you would share this file with another user, how you would download this file from the network. But this is just the basic process of how it works. To review, you take the plaintext file, you add some padding, you get a unique identifier so that you can communicate with the bridge as you negotiate things and get things ready. You encrypt the file, then you essentially break it into small pieces. You work with the bridge API to pick out the best farmers for you, and then you transmit those directly to the network. And then you say, hey storage, package this up into just an identifier that it can use later on when I want to get this file, and then we store that identifier plus the key locally, so we're the only ones who have access to the complete picture of the file and the decryption key. So that's it for this tutorial. If you have any feedback or any additional questions, feel free to pop by on our Slack. Happy to make more little informal videos like this so people kind of understand how things work. Thanks, and see you guys next time.